So without further ado, let's please welcome Jennifer Phillips up here so you can give us the update on the city of Bothell, our featured presentation. She's been with the city of Bothell since 2017 and brings us over 30 years of experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I couldn't imagine a nicer location. Thank you so much for hosting us today. This is a very important day for us, for the mayor and I, to be able to share what's going on in the city of Bothell. As I reflected and prepared for today's presentation, I can't believe it's been 2 years. In fact, tomorrow is my 2-year anniversary of joining the city of Bothell. How does the time go by so quickly? Doesn't it seem like yesterday we were here together last year at the 2017 Bothell State of the City? So I was reflecting upon that this morning, and I was remembering something that my dad told me years ago. My dad's an engineer, brilliant engineer. Everything's very logical for him. And he said to me, when we're young, and let's say we're 10 years old, a year is only a tenth of the life that we've experienced. But as we grow older, so we're 20, so then it's 1/20th of the life. And as we get older and older, those years go faster and faster because relative of the age that we are. So that's not a super positive story, right? So the moral of the story is, yes, time goes faster year after year, but the good part is we get to be together. So when we look ahead and we know that time's only going to go faster and faster, we know that we're going to be together as we share that time together. And that's, to me, really what makes it worthwhile. As I look ahead and I think, oh my gosh, 2018, already by us. Here comes 2019, and I think 2020 is around the corner. But I know that we're going to share that time together. So I look forward to the years ahead. I'm very excited to share with you what's happened in 2018 and what we're looking forward to in 2019. So we already welcomed our Bothell City Council here. So we have several members with us. We always appreciate that. Councilmember Zorns, Councilmember McNeil, and our mayor is with us today. The other council members would very much have enjoyed being here with you today, but unfortunately they weren't able to attend. I do have a little special guest with me today who's going to open this up, talk about journeys and talk about how time has passed. Our mayor has been engaged with the city of Bothell for about 10 years now, and imagine how fast that's gone for him. And he would like to share for a little bit about that journey and some thoughts that he has. So, Mayor Ayum.
That's the first time I've been called small in a long time, so thank you. It's very nice. So I think some of you already know this, but I'm at the end of my second term, and I've been on city council for the last 8 years, and I was on the planning commission before that for 2. I don't intend to run for re-election. Most of you already know that already, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. I wanted to people are probably looking at their itinerary there, seeing I'm not on it, because this was kind of a last-minute thing to decide to come and present. But what I wanted to do was to speak to what Jennifer just talked about, and that's just how fast time goes by. One of the things on being on city council, we meet with other council members and mayors from other cities and stuff, and one of the main things we always ask each other is like, what made you get involved with this? You know, because it is kind of unusual. There's only 38, I think there's 38 mayors in King County, so there's not a whole lot of us. So I thought I'd tell that story, and then I'd like to, I'll tell you a little bit more about kind of where we are now. So the story I always tell is that I was just a resident, just like anybody else, and I was working for a different city at the time, and I did environmental protection of the streams and things like that, and I was driving home, and I was like, wow, these construction sites are just mud going all over this place, into the streams, storm drains, everything else. And so I finally said, I'm going to go to a council meeting and go in the public comment period and just say something and say, hey, I think you guys got something going on here you need to look at. And I got to the council meeting. I was scared. I never spoke publicly before in my life, and that was pretty intimidating. There's cameras and everything else. And I got up to the microphone and let them know what I saw. And then I sat back down, and what happened next was basically what engaged me. 2 of the council members that were up there said basically I didn't know what I was talking about. at the meeting, and that's that. But the other part of it that was really weird is nobody else really even flinched. Like the whole room was just kind of like, oh, this is normal. Nobody kind of was shocked or anything. And I was sitting there, my mouth was probably wide open, going like, who are these people? So after that, this is probably the other piece. I met with the city staff. They actually called me, had me come in, and said like, what are you seeing? Where are you seeing it? And they had this map on the wall. I'll never forget. They had the route where they thought I drove from my house to work and back, so they could try to figure out like where I was going. So anyhow, that's kind of what threw me into this. I do plan over the next year to probably in the Bothell Reporter kind of release more of the story, kind of the way I saw it over the last 10 years. But I think what's most important to talk about what's going on now on the council. It's been a fantastic couple of years. We've really had, the council right now has never been as cohesive as it is now since I've been there. And I don't know, before that, I wasn't watching. But we really are. We're working together. We're collaborative. We disagree on things, but we also can come together and just get along. The other piece is the city manager piece. I think Jennifer, has done a fantastic job informing the council, making sure we have what we need. And then the staff, she's our connection to the staff. We don't have any supervision authority or anything over anybody but the city manager, so she really is our connection. And in talking to the council, we really do feel connected to the staff, and we really feel like we are all rowing in the same direction. And so, at least over the last decade, this is the first time that's happened, and it's been really, really good. We've talked about 2019 as being kind of a watershed year, because if there's stuff that we wanted to get done, this is probably the best time to do it. So look for that as we go through the year. Outside of that, where's I going to go with this? Now I hand it back. Oh, the goals. Oh, I have a button. All right. Somebody was flipping it for me, weren't they? There we go. One of the things that I've been surprised about in municipal government, and I'm sure the private sector would be surprised too, is it's not very common that city employees have work plans. And it's also not that common that they actually have a set of goals that are established by the board and that they try to fit everything they do underneath those goals. So those are two things that we've really worked on over the last couple of years under Jennifer's leadership, is that we've built a set of goals to try and, just to make sure that we had that leadership role as a council to say, like, across all the stuff that cities provide, these are the things that we really like you to focus on. And she's going to go through each one of those in some detail to give you the state of the city address. But we revisit these every quarter. We have a report on how we are, or how the city's doing at achieving the council's goals. So that's, if anything you guys keep track of, that would probably be a good thing to look up on our website to see kind of where the city's headed. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to the city manager. Thank you for having us, and I hope you enjoy your lunch.
And I meant small portion, not small person. A small piece of the presentation. Sheesh. It's a tough crowd. All right. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you for sharing that story. We've come a long way. We're on a journey together, and we continue that journey, and we did some pretty amazing things in 2018. So I just want to share some highlights with you, but I want to share them through the highlights of the lens of community, because that's really the basis of who we are and the culture that the council has set. When I was interviewed for this job, been almost 2.5 years now, they really talked about community, this connection with community. And so it's really become part of who we are, how we do business, how we talk about things, how we problem solve is really all about the community. And it brings a warmth and a joy to our jobs and a satisfaction that's indescribable. And I think you're going to see some of that as we go through this. So first of all, we were a finalist for the nicest place in America. Personally, I think we should have gotten first place, but we were a finalist in the Reader's Digest. We've also started a diversity committee within the city. It started about a year ago because one of our goals is to be sure that we are a welcoming community. We want everyone who comes to Bothell, whether you work here, you visit here, you live here, that you feel welcome and a part of our community. So we're really proud of those things, and I think really sets a tone for who we are and where we're going. Connecting with our community just became a huge priority, and again, just something that we so enjoy. So some photos from opportunities where we can be out there, working with our community, side by side, interacting with our community, and really being connected to it. We did a lot with our public safety this year. We really appreciate all the support. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But again, the opportunities to be out there and connect and talk and find out what the community needs. What are you looking for? How can we be a part of your life? How can we improve your livability in our community? And of course, this had to be one of the best events of the year. Let's give a round of applause for the Main Street businesses. What a great photo, what a great event that was. That was truly, this is our community. This is who we are coming together. We have a beautiful Main Street now and a heart for our community. We also work to protect and move our community. And our community includes our trees, our fish, our wildlife, our natural habitat, along with our ability to move about and to take care of our community. It also means about housing and making sure that individuals in our community can stay here and be here and come here and be part of our community. So we did a lot of road work, we did a lot of environmental work, and we did a work towards having affordable housing within our community, adopting the first affordable housing strategy for Bothell, and starting to work towards implementing those things so that everyone can be here and be part of this fantastic community. We also supported our businesses. We have some fantastic businesses in our community. That was a big part of our year, really getting out there, being part of events like this, working with our businesses, supporting our businesses. And as you know, the council funded an economic development manager position. Again, that continued support for our businesses in our community. You're the fabric of who we are. Without you, we wouldn't be the community that we are today. And it's just so fantastic to have so many engaged and great businesses in our community, only growing, only hoping to bring more and have those businesses expand and stay with us for the years to come. And then our visitor community. We did some pretty neat stuff this year for our visitor community. The sign on the left that you see on the post are some wayfinding signs. So when you're on the Burt Gilman Trail, we're trying to direct people into our downtown, let them know there's some really interesting things happening in Bothell. We also had a pretty sort of a visitor campaign. We're redoing our visitor program. We also combined with our arts program. So the graphic that you see drawn up there was done by an artist, Dennis Wunsch, who was in our art gallery in the City Hall for the first round of our art in our City Hall. He then was picked up by Alaska Airlines, and they did an article, and he did that drawing for the article. In the month of October, every single Alaska airline plane in their magazine had this article across the United States about Bothell. So we are really getting out there. Very exciting to see our art program growing, to see our tourism program going, and welcoming those visitors into our community. We also did a lot of regional engagement. We've been talking about this for about 2 years now. This council is really committed to being out there and being part of our region. And this is new for us, and we talked a little bit about this last night as well. How important it is that we are out there, something that we hadn't done in years past, to be at these meetings, to be engaged with these organizations, to be a player at the table so that Bothell has a voice and that things come to Bothell, and they come to Bothell in the way that can best serve our community. If we're not there and our council members aren't there and our staff aren't there, then decisions get made without us. And they just happen to our community rather than happening with our community and connecting and being able to deliver the things that we think are best for Bothell. So that regional engagement, heavy in time commitment, it's a lot of work, but the payback is tenfold in our ability to be able to bring things to our community. And then, of course, we had the Safe Streets and Sidewalks, or the Safe Streets and Sidewalks. We had that too. We're still very excited about that. We had the Proposition 1 and Proposition 2 for Safe and Secure Bothell. That passed by votes of 60 and 65%. The mayor referred to that as the biggest hug we could get from the community. We cannot thank you enough. We spent the first part of the year trying to figure out what we needed and what we didn't need and what we could live with, but what we really needed from the community to be able to deliver our public safety services. And then over the summer months, we went out and we talked to you and we helped you understand what our needs are. And then we left the choices up to you of what you thought was best for the city of Bothell. And we are incredibly thankful for what you did and how you supported us. my cue.
Thank you, Bothell.
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 Thank you, Bothell. Thank you, Bothell.
Thank you, Bothell.
Thank you, Bothell. Thank you, Bothell.
So thank you, Bothell. So for us, that vote happened in November. That was the culmination of just a really terrific year. And that's all due to you, the interactions that we have with you, the services we're delivering to you as our community. And so for us, 2018 was just a really exceptional year. And so personally, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your participation, for having your business here, for living here, for being part of this community, and for making 2018 such a fantastic year. And so how do we top that? So what's up for 2019? So we have some really, really great things ahead, and the mayor mentioned the goals. And so what the council does is it determines what the priorities are. And the challenge here is there's so many things to do, and yet we have limited resources. And so we need to narrow that down and figure out where we're going to expend our resources, what we're going to focus on in the year ahead. And so they have selected 10 goals. They're very similar to the ones from the prior 2 years. I'm going to go through those. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the efforts that we're going to do towards those goals. So affordable housing, they did approve an affordable housing strategy. It's the first one for the city of Bothell, and that's intended to bring affordable housing to our community. And so we're going to be working in the year ahead to enact some of those things, both in downtown as well as Canyon Park. So as we do some redesigns in Canyon Park, we look to target that area as well for some affordable housing. So we want everyone to be able to come and feel welcome and be able to be a part of our community. And we all know that affordable housing continues to be a challenge throughout our region, and we want to be part of the solution. And so our council has engaged in that, and we look forward to finding opportunities to bring affordable housing to our community. Community connections, boy, do we throw events well in this community, don't we? Wow, and the participation is amazing. We had a Christmas tree lighting that was hosted by the Main Street businesses. The city provided support for that, but it was all put together by the Main Street businesses. Thousands and thousands of people attended that. We had things like Safe Halloween. Again, thousands of folks come down and enjoy that. Really, so for us, community events continue to be a priority for the council, and we continue to look for opportunities to be able to deliver those events to you. Community outreach, how do we have these kinds of conversations? How do we connect with you as a community remains to be really important. That regional engagement that I talked about, very important. Being able to be out there and be part of the region. Our council is on many boards and commissions, putting a lot of their time into being at those meetings to make sure that Bothell's voice is heard. We have a public art program. If you've been around City Hall this last year or two, you've seen some of the public art that's been installed, and that art committee continues to move forward and look for other opportunities. And I talked a little bit about the new tourism program. So this last year, our tourism manager has been working on rebranding. How do we bring people to Bothell? There's so much to offer, and the region is so exciting. And so we are revealing a sneak peek into our new program for our tourism program, and it is Begin at Bothell. So start your story, begin at Bothell, start your adventures with us. And so there's a whole program that comes behind that. Danae McGee is our tourism manager. She's put a huge amount of effort into this, as has the LTAC, along with our community coming in and giving us feedback on this. And so we're very excited to move forward. I think you'll be very pleased, and it's a very targeted, has really good grab to it, and I think is really going to resonate with those that we're targeting for our tourism to come to Bothell and to come to our region. So thank you, Danae, for all the hard work on that. Well done. So economic development, something that is obviously very important to this group in particular, but to the overall community and the health of who we are as a community. Our focus continues to be, as unexciting as it sounds, on our downtown cleanup. There are still some properties that the city owns. I've talked about those. I talked about them at both of the last State of the Cities. We've talked about them with the city council. We still have some properties that the city owns, and we continue our rigorous efforts to get those cleaned up so we can get them sold, so we can continue this amazing economic development that's happened in downtown Bothell. We talked a little bit, there was a gentleman here from Community Transit that talked about transit and actually mentioned the bus rapid transit. Again, maybe a topic that you're not particularly engaged in, but I can tell you the work that's happening with Sound Transit with regards to bus rapid transit for both the 522 and the 405 are really important to our mobility. For those who want to live in our community, especially as the downtown was designed to be a multimodal, walkable, no car, you're not supposed to need a car to be able to live in downtown Bothell and get about. And bus rapid transit is one of the keys to that. And so we are a big player at the table. We are having a very loud voice, and we're fighting very hard to make sure, to the best of our ability, that we can deliver both of these systems that benefit Bothell and that we can actually use them, and we will have ridership on both of these systems. So some behind the scenes work that you're probably not seeing, but I can tell you a lot of energy and effort and passion is being put into that. We have an economic development program. Jeannie Ash is with us now, and so she's our economic development manager, and we're delighted to have Jeannie. Jeannie has years of experience, and within, I think, minutes was already getting her work plan together, figuring out what she wanted to do for our community and connecting with our businesses. We have a project going on with the University of Washington. We have a project going on with Western Washington University. She's working on a business retention and expansion program. This is about all of you. This is about making sure that you're happy here and that you're getting the services that you need. And are there things that the city can do to help you, to support you, to keep you here, or to help you expand, or to bring other businesses in? This is really key to our economic vitality and our success. We have our life sciences and our biotech. We want to continue to work with them. That's one of our real special spots, and the things that we have here in Bothell is to have that tech center. We want to make sure that we keep that. And obviously our relationship with the Bothell Kenmore Chamber. We had a very exciting year. We're always happy to be a partner. We appreciate the recognition, and we're delighted that you're on Main Street and that we were able to provide the funding to have you on Main Street. And we look forward to many years of success for the Bothell Kenmore Chamber. And thank you very much for hosting this event. So really appreciate the Chamber. A round of applause for them. So economic development, I've mentioned Canyon Park. You may have heard a little bit about it. It's one of our next big targeted areas. What you saw happen in the downtown and continues to happen in the downtown, we're starting to put that same effort and energy into the Canyon Park area. What we want to do is we really want to make this a livable community. Again, we're looking at having housing there, really making it walkable and making it another hub for Bothell. And so we've done a visioning plan. This is what it looks like now. And so this sort of gives you a sense, it's just a graphic, but sort of how things are zoned. We want to work with those businesses and those property owners to look at a more livable community. How do we make that another really exciting place to live and work and be another home and hub for Bothell? And so a lot of time and energy is going to be put into that. We're focused on jobs, housing, and transit for that sub-area as well. So a lot of work, a lot of exciting things happening in that arena as well. So now I got to talk a little bit about the money. So last year, when I came, I talked about what was happening in 2016. I talked about the fact that the budget wasn't looking so great. In fact, I put this exact graphic up. What I shared with you was our general fund revenues, and the general fund is basically how we, most of our general money, that is our health and our ability to be able to deliver the vast majority of services comes from the general fund. So I talked about the fact that we were bringing in $44 million a year, but I said we were spending $45 million. And that, as a business person, is not good, right? So we were already spending more than we were making last year. What I didn't know, and what I learned in the years in this prior year, was we'd also spent down our savings account. So at the end of 2016, we only had $600,000 left in what we refer to as our unrestricted general fund reserve. And that's not good. And so we need to find a place where we are healthier financially, just like you do as a business. I consider my work at the city, I may be a local government official or a local government bureaucrat, if you want to use that word. I use that word very lovingly. But I look at things like a business person. So I need to figure out, how am I going to make this business thrive? How do I make sure that Bothell can continue to deliver the services that it needs to deliver, and has more than $600,000 in a savings account? Because that's not enough to make sure that we can deliver the services that we need to deliver. So in fall, we spent a lot of time together with the council working on the 2019-2020 budget. We're in better shape because we did have some monies remaining from the sale of the properties, but those are one-time monies. And so we were able to shore up our savings account a bit, but we still have a problem with our revenues not being enough to cover our expenses. So for 2019, our budget is $53.7 million for our revenues, and our expenditures are $55.4 million. So we have a $1.7 million deficit for 2019. Now, the city is required by law to adopt a balanced budget. We have a 2-year budget, and we think that 2020 will be a little bit better of a year than 19, and so we did pass a balanced budget. However, for 19 is not a good year, and if we have any kind of recession or any kind of challenges, we're going to struggle and have to dip into our savings again in 2020 if we're not able to figure out some other solutions. And so this is very serious. And so we want to make sure that we have a functioning and stable organization so that we can deliver the services that we are delivering at the level we're delivering for this fantastic community. And so those are the things that I'll be working on in the next couple of years with the council, is to figure out, how do we get through this? And we're starting to put some strategies together. So you have to have a plan, right? Especially as a bureaucrat, bureaucrats have to have plans. Love the plans. So we're working on a plan. So first of all, we have to address the structural deficit. We're spending more than we're making. That's a structural deficit, and it's continuing. And so that's one of the things I'll be working with the council on. We need to balance our expenses and our revenues, and we need to continue to put more money into our reserves. So that plan will start to get developed. We also need to modernize our finance department. We'll be working on that in the months ahead through 19. I'd like to develop a long-range financial strategy that really looks at not only 19 and 20, but beyond, to make sure that this strategy can carry us into the future. We need to continue to look at cost-cutting and efficiencies. And if you took any time at all, and if you have any kind of insomnia or you have nothing to do for a few hours, you're welcome to go back and look at some of the budget meetings that we had with the council. And I think that you will find that the staff here has worked very, very hard and continues to do so to look for cost-cutting measures. We are not a spendy group. We constantly look for ways to be more efficient, to save money, to do things more efficiently, to do better for the community at a lower cost if at all possible. So we work very hard to be able to do that, but we also need to explore some revenue options. And so those will be some of the things that we look at in the year ahead. We're also putting our hands out to our state legislators because we need help. We cannot do these things on our own. We're still a small, mid-sized community, and so we have asked our state legislatures for some assistance. We've asked for money to do improvements for the I-405. Deputy Mayor Dewar, and with the support of the entire council, has really forged, I mean, talk about regional efforts. She has really forged the path to get attention from the state legislator to try to get an expansion project for our 405 between 522 and 527, because we know that's a big bottleneck there. So we're working on that. The downtown sub-area plan, we've asked for $400,000 from the state to be able to fund that, because it's such a critical economic tool for us for the future. We've asked for money for the downtown revitalization, which is the cleanups. We've asked for another $1.5 million to do that. We've asked for $1 million to help us replace the beautiful pedestrian bridge at the park at Bothell Landing. That has come up to its useful life. We have $1 million from the federal government. We need another $1 million, so we've asked for that from our state legislators. And we've also asked for additional classes from our state legislator for our police officers. It takes 18 months to hire a police officers. We've got a lot of police officers to hire, and so we've asked them to continue to fund that so that we can get our police officers on the road to be able to deliver services. So what does that mean for all of you? When I think of talking to the chamber and I share sort of how we're also challenged, what does that mean for you? Well, first of all, be assured that you have a very supportive city council. This city council recognizes how important you are to our community, the difference that you make in our community, and they continue to show support and want our businesses in Bothell to be successful. And that's an important message from you. If you hear nothing today, and the takeaway is you have a very supportive city council. We have support from our new economic development manager. We remain very focused on the downtown redevelopment. Again, the development of the downtown sub-area plan, which means we're adding visitors, we're adding employees, we're adding residents, which means more customers for your businesses. And we want to talk to you in 2019. Now, I know the Chamber's brought up the fact that we did talk about some additional revenue options, things like a B&O tax, a head tax, the business license. We want to talk to you. We want to see how you're doing. We want to see what services you're using. We want to see what your futures look like. We potentially have a recession coming. The governor has put into his budget a B&O tax. How does that affect you? And so all we want to do in 19 is talk to you and see where you are and have a conversation, and together as a community figure out the future of Bothell. And so that's what it looks like for the year ahead in 2019. And I hope, as engaged as you are today to attend a luncheon like this, that you will remain engaged with us and work with Jeannie and I in the months ahead as we have these conversations with you and talk about how does everyone be successful in 2019 and beyond. So very exciting. We're going to be implementing our levy and our bond measures. So 27 positions to be filled, and also to build 2 fire stations. We're working on a team to put an implementation plan together for both of those. We've got a lot of positions to fill, a lot of work to do to be able to do that. But again, we can't thank you enough. As we always say to ourselves, it's a heavy lift, but it's a great problem to have. We're delighted to be able to provide these services to you and these service enhancements, and we look forward to doing that in the years ahead. Please keep in mind, as I mentioned, it takes 18 months to hire a police officer. And so if 27 people are not going to show up tomorrow and suddenly be delivering all these services, it's going to take us some time to get those positions filled and get those services delivered. And it's going to take us time to build a couple of firehouses. And so be patient with us. We'll continue to give you updates, but we sure look forward to working on those projects and delivering them in the years ahead. And of course, we want to continue to deliver our high caliber services and continue connecting with our community as we have. Supporting our community is also one of the key goals for the council, and it has been for the last couple of years. There's a couple of programs that we're particularly proud of. Continuing our human services grants, supporting Snohomish County Health District, our emergency preparedness program. If you're not signed up for Code Red, you can do that, go online. It's our way of communicating with you in an event of an emergency. But in particular, I really want to talk about the Navigator program. This is truly a shining star for Bothell. This was a program that was floundering, there was money available, and our chief recognized the value that this program could be. So first of all, we had to have the leadership to recognize that, and we had to have the type of police department that would embrace it. So it's not for every police department. There has to be a mentality shift, or the police department already has to be there to want to be part of a program like this. And that's the kind of leadership we have and the kind of police department that we have that would find a program like this, embrace it, and then make it wildly successful. And as I stand here and I was actually preparing my presentation, there's no way that I could describe this program better than the person who actually delivers the service herself. So I have a little short video I'd like to show you that tells you about our Navigator program and truly how amazing it is. I hope.
As a navigator or a mental health professional, I am embedded or I co-respond with law enforcement to calls for service that either come through 911 or our community referrals. My role is a support system to, first and foremost, law enforcement, and in coinciding with that, to the community member once the scene is safe. So the reason that there's a co-responder model is that it isn't always safe or appropriate for just the random mental health professional to show up to an address when there's a crisis or a 911 call. So the co-responder model allows law enforcement to secure a scene, make sure things are safe, and then have an immediate intervention when somebody's in crisis versus saying, here's a business card, I'll call you in a week or two. But to say, hey, this is happening right now, and I can get you directed into services almost immediately. In a typical day, my sergeant and I meet to see what referrals have come in over the course of time that I wasn't in the office. I will triage those or determine which ones are the most severe, the most serious, that need immediate attention. And then whatever officer I'm partnered with, that person and I will make a game plan for who and how to address those folks for outreach. The only time that that schedule is superseded is when a call comes in through dispatch or 911 that has an emergent characteristic to it, somebody that's wanting to kill themselves, somebody that's needing a wellness check, some sort of domestic dispute, or someplace where the intervention of a mental health professional and de-escalation would be helpful. As a mental health professional, this program is why I get out of bed. This program is the sole reason why I have the credentialing I do and why I work close to 80 to 90 hours a week. I am committed to making the role of law enforcement more effective, helping a community stay healthy and get healthier. And the way that I can do that is really augmenting services that are provided by law enforcement agencies. So this program to me is the reason that I get out of bed, and I can't see doing anything else.
I would definitely say the job has changed in a lot of ways. Some areas where, specifically where we see, the law enforcement change is in regards to dealing with folks that are in crisis, and also dealing with folks that are suffering from drug addiction. It has really become more taxing on the services. So, let's say 20 years ago or 15 years ago, we had, maybe 4 officers, work in the streets, and we didn't have that same opioid addiction that was going on, where we're, dealing with people constantly, where we're making an arrest, or we're trying to get somebody into services, or we're, performing CPR at, maybe a parking lot or a hotel room from somebody who's overdosed on heroin. So those things have really increased the workload for law enforcement. And then we're also seeing with, in dealing with mental health issues, that has put a strain on law enforcement, where now, our officers are going to extensive training for identifying behavioral health issues, de-escalation techniques and strategies, and then actually employing those. I feel that we're more, as the police department, we are more invested in individuals' positive outcomes, and that we're not looking to simply arrest somebody and take them to jail and then wait till they get out of jail and then just arrest them again. We're looking at more of the person, like, how did you get to this place in your life, and what resources can the police department help you out with? In some cases, it may be a diversion from criminal prosecution to get folks in treatment. So whether that be mental health treatment or drug counseling, I feel that we will go above and beyond to make that happen, because ultimately I think that just better serves the community. So the Navigator program consists of a mental health professional who works directly with the police department. Our current setup here at the Bothell Police Department is we have the mental health professional works in conjunction with our crisis intervention team trained officers. One of the biggest benefits that the Navigator program brings to the Bothell Police Department is that ultimately we're reducing the amount of contacts that we have with individuals. So we're freeing up 911, we're freeing up how much time it takes the cops to go out and deal with this individual. It frees up the courts. So now the courts aren't dealing with somebody because maybe they have a minor crime like trespass, or some other issue, maybe like with their neighbor, because now we've engaged with them through the Navigator program and plugged them into some counseling or other services.
Pretty amazing, right? I mean, community just keeps coming up, and it's a natural word for us because it's so authentic, because we care so much. And in the changing world of the things that we're facing, we have to do things differently. And this is one of the ways. This program has taken off. Our chief has been able to secure hundreds of thousands of dollars in funding, plus there was a position in the Levy, and now it's becoming a much stronger regionalized program. Other regions are looking at it, and this is truly changing the way law enforcement is working with our community. And I just couldn't be more proud, and I want to thank the chief for her leadership in that. Well done. So Parks and Recreation, another thing that's the fun department that brings joy and happiness to us, and health, and how we connect in community is to have a park system and have the recreation programs that we do. This year is a critical year for us. We're going to be doing an update to our Parks and Open Space Plan, and it really is going to forge the framework of how we move forward with our open space and our parks in Bothell for the next 5 to 10 years. We have to have this plan so that we can apply for grant monies. And I would encourage all of you. I was thinking this morning and thinking of Nick, who is our Parks and Rec director, if we could get a group like this together and have a dialogue about this plan and about where we want our parks and open space and trails and recreation programs. What do we envision for the next 5 to 10 years? We need you. And so I know your time is valuable, but if we could have a group like this come together and have you give us our feedback and really talk about the future of our Parks and Rec program, that would mean a great deal to both of us and our entire community. And so we also want to shape our Parks and Rec department. This is one of those departments that was a brainchild of a council member many years ago, but never really got the resources that it needed and the leadership that it needed. And we have that now, and we're getting that leader, those resources to this really talented leader, and we're going to continue to build that department so it can be successful for the years to come. The other position that was funded by the City Council, again, because of the community, was the volunteer coordinator position. We have so many talented people and engaged and passionate people who want to contribute their time and their energy and their talents and expertise to our community. And so the opportunity to harness that into a volunteer program, that's something we'll be working on in 2019. We're also going to look at options for, we've talked about the former Wayne Golf Course quite a bit. There's 4 acres on that front 9 that has the opportunity to be an economic engine. And so we're going to be looking at that and looking at what some of those options could be for that. We want to continue the strong partnerships that we've developed with our community groups and make sure that they're engaged in us and our work and how we do things for open space and parks in our community. And in that same feeling of good health and welfare and livability is our sustainability. This is a new goal for the council, an environmental stewardship and sustainability program. We want to continue to reduce waste and increase recycling. If you haven't heard, we've had some real challenges, and we really need to get the word out to our community. I was a wishful recycler. I thought if I put it in the bin, somehow magically it would get recycled. And times have changed, and we need to be part of that change. And so the council has put a lot of energy and effort and resources behind working on that communication to make sure that we're keeping our community clean and that we're contributing in the right ways. So you're going to see more messaging as residents and businesses. We want to also reduce the stormwater pollution, so we're going to help businesses with that as well. And I'm starting to feel the hook. Technology's awesome. We have a great technology director, and we're continuing to deliver terrific technology within our organization to provide better services. And again, we continue to invest in our organization because it's the people, it's the amazing 340 people that work for the city of Bothell that really deliver the services to you and our connection to our community. These are our values. We continue to live by them, and really it's our community that brings them all together, and it's why we are the way we are and how we interact and what we believe in our organization. We have a fantastic path forward. We did some great things in 2018. I couldn't be more excited about 2019. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your support. This is the best community to be in, and we're going to have a great year ahead. So thank you very much.